Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this exclusive interview in conversation with FlySafair, the best African low-cost carrier of 2022, according to Skytrax. I've got Maryke here from FlySafair, and she's going to be here to discuss future fleet plans, operations and route insights, market analysis, and environmental plans. So, how are you doing today?
Well, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's
So,
fantastic.
let's jump to the first question.
Mhm.
So, FlySafair operates the legacy 737-400, which is a fairly old aircraft with plenty of successes in the 737 family. So what are your plans in the future with this aircraft? Do you plan on retiring it or replacing it with the newer 737 MAX or perhaps refurbishing it?
Yeah, so I think to start off, we do have a few 737-400s, but the majority of our fleet is actually the 737-800s new generations. So
Yeah.
the 737-400 is obviously the oldest of our fleet. And as a low-cost airline, that is basically the model is to stick to one or two aircraft mostly in the fleet. So we won't be diversifying excessively, but we will, as they age and over time, replace the current 400s with more of the 800s, new
Okay.
generation. And then ultimately, you're right. I mean, there are lots of newer models out there, but we do find that the cost of ownership is quite high on the newer models. So we
Okay.
need to wait a little bit until that secondhand market has matured a bit before we move then over into some of the newer models and the Maxes potentially.
Okay. So, on that topic, so you mentioned that the cost of ownership for perhaps a 737 MAX is probably a bit higher than what you would want. So, obviously, Boeing has stopped producing the 737 NG. So, would you be probably looking at perhaps purchasing some second-hand ones or probably having them on a leaseback agreement?
Well, it's a combination of it. So each one is, evaluated based on
Yeah.
what's available in the market, what the secondhand market is looking like. If they are available, yes, sometimes we purchase and sometimes it's on lease agreement. So it really just depends on what's available and what the market's like at the time that we require an additional aircraft.
Okay. So also in the African markets, you're one of the largest 737 operators, if I'm right. Obviously, we have other 737 operators, for example, Ethiopian, but we're talking about the Southern African market. So how easy is it to get spare parts and the availability of parts compared to perhaps, say, the Airbus A320 family?
Yeah, so I mean, the it's available. Let's start there. So I think we've got a very good supply team, a supply chain in place in terms of where we do source parts from. There's obviously always implications in terms of currency, rand, dollar exchange,
Yeah,
etc. come into play. But apart from that, in terms of accessibility to parts, that's not a problem for us at the moment. Luckily, there's enough of it available that we actually can have it in place. And we've also been in the market and in this field, especially from a technical side, for years and years and years. So I
yeah.
think we've quite established relationships in that regard.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next question. So you are the official domestic carrier of the Springboks. So Springboks are the South African rugby team, to anyone who doesn't know. So what were operations like for you during the South African win of the Rugby World Cup 2023? Because that must have been a very busy time.
It definitely was. It was amazing. I must say, like as South Africans, our hearts are very close to our rugby team. So it was really amazing opportunity for us to be part of. I think in terms of, I mean, operationally, the World Cup this year was hosted in France, so there weren't
Yeah,
direct impacts in terms of operations on this side, but definitely from a marketing point of view, we had such wonderful opportunities to talk about our team, support our team from our side. And I mean, we love our team and we trust them, but I think we were all equally surprised by how far they actually went in the end and actually to win
yeah,
the World Cup, because that was, I mean, that was a record. That was something new, unheard of before, that we did two in a row.
yeah,
So really wonderful for us every time after a match as they got close to the finals, coming up with new plans, being, agile, making plans and continuing and supporting the team. And then obviously from our side as well, the wonderful opportunity we had to fly them around the country afterwards for the cup.
Yeah.
Rugby really does a lot for South Africa, uniting the nation and bringing good news, which is, I think, what everybody needs at this point in time in life. So
Yeah.
that was wonderful for us to be able to operate that for them as well. And I think something that was really exciting for us in just in an aviation world, whenever a new livery comes to life, it's something exciting to talk about. And we
Yeah.
actually went as far as painting one of our aircraft green and gold, which are the colors of
Oh,
the Springboks. So just to really show our support, and that's been wonderful. So really nice opportunities from that point of view, getting our customers excited with us
yeah.
and sharing the joy with them. And then, I mean, in the lead up to it, we had the wonderful opportunity to do a flyby over one of the warm-up matches in
Oh,
Loftus, which is big for us on our side. So I think also from our pilot side of it, to really
yeah.
showcase the amazing pilots that we have on board, that was wonderful. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. So the next question that I have is, how stiff is the competition in the regional South African airlines market? So you had Kalula recently stopped operations, I think it was around last year, and you also compete with Lyft, also based in South Africa, but they operate the Airbus A320. And then you also have Air Link and South African Airways. So what puts you apart from the competition?
Yeah, so I think you've got a lot of questions in there. I think firstly, Kalula exited the market. It was 1st of June 2022. So it's
Yeah,
recent, but it's also been a year and a half. It's true that it lost, I mean, they had a big market share, and there was another airline, Mango, as well, that exited
yeah,
at the same time, which is also a low-cost airline. So there was a big gap in terms of seat availability in the market. And I think, as you've noted, there are quite a few competitors in the South African market, and everybody was, gearing up to actually fill their seats to really try and
yeah,
expand, actually get the demand up, the supply up to where the demand was at the time. We do feel that we've kind of hit a plateau at the moment. I think the demand is saturated at the moment in the
yeah,
market, and it really is now all about setting yourself apart. So if you think about the market at the moment, I think there's a few others. We currently have about 5 players in the market,
yeah,
which serves the Southern African region, which we feel is a fair amount of competition for the size of our market in
yeah.
Southern Africa. But it really, for us, from the beginning, has been about, firstly, on-time performance, really
Oh, yeah,
trying everything we can to make sure that we get our customers on time to where they want to be and deliver on that promise. And this year started wonderful for us, where we got recognition for our on-time performance by being awarded the best low-cost on-time performer in the world by
yeah,
Cirium. So that really was something significant for us, and also as a team, just to show, because a lot of focus and effort goes into actually getting that right. Because I mean, the aviation world knows so much can go wrong. Not everything's in your control. So really a lot of focus that goes into on-time performance. But it's
yeah,
also a great market, because I think our competitors give us a good go there in terms of staying
yeah,
on time. I think ultimately just everybody wins. The competitor, the customer wins. So that's great. I think another part is really opening the skies to South Africa for first-time flyers as well.
yeah,
That's definitely something that we do focus on. So staying as affordable as possible, hassle-free travel, something we talk about a
yeah,
lot. Really utilizing technology to make it as easy as possible for people. So we've got a lot of firsts where we work through in the South African market. WhatsApp is really big. That South
yeah,
Africans can actually get their boarding passes via WhatsApp. So really trying to make it as easy as possible and self-service as possible for South Africans to be able to fly, get your ticket, all the way through to actually getting on board. So I'm going to highlight those things. And then I think lastly, it's really about our customer service. Our
yeah,
customers are very important to us, and focus will always have to be on them if you want to succeed in this market.
yeah. Okay, so I have two follow-up questions from that. So, the first being, you mentioned on-time performance. So, low-cost airlines in the UK here, such as Ryanair, they're often known for lots of business practices to get on time and quickly. So, I am pretty sure one of them includes, quick boarding procedures and hassle-free travel, as you mentioned. So, what similar stuff does FlySafair do to keep their passengers boarding on time and departing on time?
There's so much that goes into it. So I think it starts with scheduling and making sure that we optimize the schedules of our aircraft. Then there definitely is an element of a quick turnaround. So we work towards a 25-minute turnaround. That's not always possible, but 35
Wow.
minutes max. So it's a very quick turnaround that we try and have in place. So everybody knows exactly what needs to happen and how we board and we get people on board and off as quickly as possible. Also on the ground handling side, in terms of making sure that everything, that the aircraft is ready. But I have to just highlight, I mean, in all of these things, never will safety be compromised. Safety will
Yeah.
always remain one. So there's no way that we'll take shortcuts. It's just
Yeah.
about trying to be as prepared as we possibly can, and then to try and avoid delays where it's within our control as much as possible. And that really sits heavily on the technical team as well, making sure when we release aircraft for flight, that they are 100% in condition, nothing, that everything is maintained and up to speed as it should be, which you would expect in any case. But I think there's a lot of focus also on the technical side, making sure that everything's in place. As you were mentioning, in terms of spare parts, when we do need to, do maintenance on aircrafts, or just making sure that happens as quickly as possible. Once again, always just remembering that no shortcuts will ever be taken when it comes to safety.
Yeah.
So definitely, and it's a motto. I think that's the other part of it. It's just such a big piece that everybody, from the pilot, the crew, technicians, ground staff, everybody knows on-time performance is important, and we manage it that way. So we do whatever we can, and we stay top of mind of it. So I think that helps. So it's teamwork at the end of it, is basically what I want to say, to sum it all up.
Okay. And so you mentioned Kalula exiting the market in 2022. So about their 737s, did you have any plans of acquiring their 737s?
I mean, yeah, some of them did become available in the pool of, available 737s in the
Yeah.
market. And there are, I think, a few that we've absorbed, but we didn't specifically go out taking on board all of the Kalula aircraft. That's not how we procure aircraft. So it was based whatever is available in the market at the time at the best price, or best price, best value, we'll take on board.
Okay. So in 2022, you were named the best low-cost airline in Africa by Skytrax, which is a very prestigious award, actually, from a very big organization. So what was the recovery like from the unfortunate coronavirus times when many airlines perished, such as, we just talked about Kalula and Comair now as well. So how did you survive that period of time?
Sure, yeah. I mean, firstly, we'd be very grateful for that award. It was really wonderful, and especially, as you say, coming out of such a difficult period,
Yeah.
I think that was wonderful for the team to get in terms of recognition as well. So we're grateful for that. But I think you are right. It was an extremely tough time for so many airlines. I think as a low-cost airline, the fact that we have so much focus already on keeping costs low, that's just a big focus of the business inherently. It set us up
Yeah.
well for when things like that happen. Heaven forbid should that ever happen again.
Yeah.
I wish it on anyone. But yes, I think that was part of it. So it was just inherently the low cost focus made it maybe slightly easier for the team to get through. But I really think it was just strong, really good management, and then what team effort. So everybody came together. I mean, everybody in the industry had to take a knock, had to take pay cuts to make it through. But I think we sit with people that are so passionate about aviation. They wanted to see us through, and they make sure that we got through it. I think FlySafair itself is a new entity in terms of commercial airline, but Safair as a company has been around for more than 50 years. I think we've been through more, trials and tribulations. So I think it's the company's got it in its nature to make a plan and to get through things. So I think that was also part of it, just the tenacity and the real team efforts once again of just getting through it. Yeah.
Okay. So this summer, one of the destinations that intrigued me was a new destination to Victoria Falls. So it's seen a big pandemic surge in popularity in tourism, with 7 new international airlines starting flights there, including FlySafair. So what is the significance of this destination to your routes network?
Yeah, so I think we were very fortunate that we actually launched 4 new routes in 1 week. That's quite a feat in itself, but really starting to venture into the Southern African market. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we feel that the seats in the South African market itself, we've kind of reached capacity there again. So it really is hard work for us. to maintain our market share in that market. But we are now at a point where we need to start looking at additional opportunities. Where are additional markets that we can fly to? And I mean, our neighbors are the most obvious choices. So I think that was
Yeah.
part of it. So we started flying to Harare.
Yeah.
There's a lot of traffic between Harare and Joburg. Vic Falls, of course, more of a tourist destination. Vic Falls as well as Livingston,
Yeah.
and then too as well. So those were the four that we introduced. We do also fly to Mauritius as well as Zanzibar, which is also
Oh,
more,
yes.
you know, tourist attraction. So that was basically the range of countries that we're looking at. And yeah, so I think for us, very big in terms of venturing outside of the South African market, a lot of learnings
Yeah.
through it. But really also a wonderful opportunity for us to really bring our locals model into those regions as well, because I think it's not it's currently not something that's serviced through really a low-cost airline. So that's really
Yeah.
part of what we're trying to do. I mean, part of everything that we're doing is trying to open the skies to as many South Africans as possible, and now Southern Africans. So that's what
Yeah.
we really like to bring to the market and the region overall.
So one thing I'd also like to know is, so lots of Central African countries, such as Nigeria, they have airlines such as Ibom Air, but they're not quite as established as say FlySafair. So would you have any um plans of bringing FlySafair to Central African markets such as say Cameroon, Nigeria, or Angola or Zambia?
It's a good question. I think there's lots of markets for us to explore, and we're definitely at the point of evaluating what's available, what's out there. I think for the moment, we do operate still mainly out of South Africa,
Yeah.
and the range is just too far. So that we won't be going into those markets just because it's too far away from South Africa in terms of, you know, servicing from here. But I
Okay.
mean, never say never. But it's not something that's in the short-term plans, no.
Okay, thank you. So are there any plans on future fleet diversification for perhaps, say, the 787-8? So we've seen some other local airlines across the world venture into those smaller mid-range aircraft, which would, so as we just discussed, to Nigeria or Angola, those might probably make the cut on, say, fuel and passenger capacity. So we've seen Indigo from India. They are set to make a 787-8 or perhaps an A330 Neo order. And we've also seen with other airlines that's happened. So does FlySafair have any plans to perhaps venture into the shorter mid-range aircraft market?
Not as present. I think as mentioned right up front, we are still sort of sticking to less than diversification, rather sort of consolidating our fleet into sort of
Okay.
one, maybe max two types of aircraft. You are
Yeah.
right. I mean, some of the smaller aircraft do give you access to different routes. So it does impact the route network that you will operate if you've got different different fleets. But that's not in the plan at the moment. No, for now it is more to stay. We'll move towards the 800s.
Yeah.
Maybe at some stage even only have them in the fleets, and then
Yeah.
start to introduce some of the newer models into it.
So, obviously we saw with Alaska flight 1282 towards the start of the year, the plug door issue happened on the 737 MAX 9. So, based on that, and obviously, the in the US, airlines such as United had to have their 737 MAXs grounded. Would that potentially rule out the 737 MAX completely, or do you think you would still be interested in the aircraft type?
I think we'll have to give it a little bit of time to see. I think
Yeah.
it's definitely something, it fits within our fleet at the moment in terms of, if you think, yeah, just training capacity, you know, technical capabilities,
Yeah.
etc. That is the basket of competencies that we sit with as well.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for us to move into that field, but we will have to sit and have a look and see what comes out of all the investigations, make sure that
Yeah.
it's a move. We won't move unless it's a safe move.
Yeah.
But I'm not ruling it out completely, definitely not. So, yeah.
Okay. So the final question that I have is, in a world where climate change is becoming a big issue, with aviation being a large contributing factor, what is FlySafair doing to save the environment?
Yeah, it's a very good question and comes up often. Um, I think what we are doing at the moment is really focusing about, you know, fuel efficiency, trying to do the best we can with what we have at the moment.
Yeah,
The reality is that at the moment, there really aren't a lot of alternatives to what's available at the moment that's commercially viable. There's
yeah,
a lot of exploration having in terms of alternatives, and we're definitely keeping a close eye on that,
yeah,
because I agree. I think that there's a big concern to us as an industry overall, and that's something that needs to be addressed. So we're keeping a close eye on it, making sure that we stay on top of what's available and what's out
yeah,
there. Fortunately, there is no viable solution for us at the moment, just in terms of commercially viable solution. But that is something that we then try and mitigate through fuel optimization on our side, and then also doing what we can from a head office point of view. We've just recently installed a big solar farm, so at least
okay,
trying to do what we can from an operational side of view, even if we can't completely replace the fuel that we're currently using, because that will remain the biggest impact. Yeah.
okay. So, just to follow up on that, Virgin Atlantic in the UK here, along with Emirates in Dubai, they've all started exploring sustainable aviation fuels.
Mm.
Now, obviously, these are made of cooking oils, greases, and all sorts of waste products. Now, those aren't immediately available sometimes. So, are they currently available in South African markets for aviation right now?
Unfortunately, not at the moment, no. So
Okay.
it's not something that we have a supply of available, yeah, in terms of availability in South Africa, no. But it is very exciting. So I
Yeah.
mean, and things change so quickly. So we do hope that we can progress very quickly. And as soon as it, you know, becomes viable and available in South Africa, that will definitely be something that we'll be looking at very quickly.
Okay. So that concludes the interview. A big thank you to Maryke and FlySafair for making this interview possible. It wouldn't be done without you. So thank you very much for your assistance with this interview, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's been a great opportunity. Enjoyed chatting to you.
Thank you.